groups, some of them are not even legal groups. They are not even formal groups. They are just groups that are being formed at night as the forum happens tomorrow, so that people can get an opportunity to get money. And it's very unfortunate.
Right.
And let me tell you, what saddens me most is when the deputy president comes along with PSs who are supposed to be working, and now they are being seen on screen. You've just played a clip here of PS Energy, Bwana Wachira, dancing his energy out. On a political platform when he's supposed to be fixing for us electricity, when PS Energy is supposed to be telling us what is happening with these very many blackouts in Gathoni constituency, for example, where my farmers... I come from Kiambu County, where these forums have been happening, and I'm sure they've been happening in other areas, but they are largely concentrated in Kiambu County and Central Kenya region. Of course, you know why. This is not an empowerment program to me. This is politics. If it was an empowerment program, this money should have been passed in Parliament. There should have been put in place some structural way of doing this program, how to select the beneficiaries, how to wire the money to their accounts, because right now, the groups that are benefiting from this money in my area, in my region, I don't know how they are being picked, because we don't have a call for proposal or a call for expression of interest. And it is very unfortunate that I have funded groups in the past when I was serving as the county woman MP. And every individual group that is receiving funding has a bank account. And ideally, if you're doing smart business or you're doing smart empowerment program, the best you can do is to wire money into those banks, respective bank accounts, so that we can have some maturity in sharing of the money without political chaos, without favoritism, you know, without over-exerting on vulnerable groups. For example, when this money is dished politically the way they are dishing, that disabled person may not be able to squeeze in to get that money. That elderly mama may not be able to squeeze in to get that money. So to me, this is political tokenism. It is actually geared towards reviving and revamping the political energies of the people of the mountain, basically because there have been a lot of political negative energy against this regime. And do you know why people have negative energy? It is because somebody lied to them. Somebody promised and didn't deliver. And it's very unfortunate now we are no longer talking about launching of projects. Now we are launching these empowerment political programs. So my biggest concern with this is why these programs are happening in areas where MPs of that area or senator of that area or women rep of that area is friendly to the government. But for those who are not friendly to the government in terms of their policies and their implementation, these forums are being used as political platform to come and bash and fight the local leadership. And it is very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And it has also become a platform where now we are releasing our negative energy and attacking some leaders. And I think largely these forums in Central Kenya have been used to bash Rigathi Gachagua. There is not any meeting that is done in Central Region in the name of empowerment where Rigathi has not become the subject of discussion. It is very, very unfortunate. No wonder they are not excited to go to Bomet, because Rigathi is not in Bomet. Or rather, he's not doing politics in Bomet. They are here in the Central because they want to attack and make sure that they bring down the negative energy that is there. And ideally, I think it's a good thing. Finally, the money that was not given to us through SHA is coming back through tokenism. Finally, the money that they stole from many programs.
But is that helpful in improving the economy?
No, it is actually creating a cycle of poverty. Because when you give me 1,000 today, tomorrow what am I going to eat? If you come and give me cash money, not even money that has a formula, you know, cash money. We have had issues like, for example, in Juja, groups were left fighting in Juja constituency, where money was allegedly given to groups that were supposed to be Thika or by origin, but they came from, Juja in origin, but the groups were imported from Thika. So they left Wananchi fighting over the money. That has happened very often.
So there's no clear identification of beneficiaries?
Exactly. It is actually, you form your 100 people come together, give us your list. Even those groups, some of them are not even legal groups. They are not even formal groups. They are just groups that are being formed at night as the forum happens tomorrow, so that people can get an opportunity to get money. And it's very unfortunate.
Right.
And let me tell you, what saddens me most is when the deputy president comes along with PSs who are supposed to be working, and now they are being seen on screen. You've just played a clip here of PS Energy, Bwana Wachira, dancing his energy out on a political platform when he's supposed to be fixing for us electricity, when PS Energy is supposed to be telling us what is happening with these very many blackouts in Gathoni constituency, for example, where my farmers are supposed to be milking. They cannot milk because there is no power. And our PS is every day dancing politically.
No.
He should resign and actually go to politics.
No, it's not every day.
It is every day because every session, forum they are doing in those economic forums, he's there dancing. How can a whole PS be doing politics, honestly, against the Kenyan constitution spirit of the separation of powers? So to me, these empowerment programs are a good way of bringing down the political environment and energy that is in central Kenya. And that is why they are more or largely concentrated in central Kenya, so that they can counter the narratives and the politics of the day. Sam, every time the government puts its hand in a sector, especially this government, that sector gets into chaos. Because there is no very, very good way of thinking before we act. You know, I campaigned with William Ruto. I stood on top of his rooftop car and we spoke about no more fundraisers in our education sector. No more fundraisers in our health sector. In fact, alikuwa nasema no more harambes. In fact, now there are more harambes in the health sector. There are more harambes. Every weekend, even last night, I had to attend a function where I have to contribute to bail some family out of hospital or out of the morgue. We are actually bailing people out of the morgue. Can you imagine? Tunatoa pesa kutoa watu kwa morgues. It's very sad. Now, the way out. When I was doing my master's program here at the University of Nairobi, Sam, we used to compete for a sitting space in an auditorium. There were so many students from Burundi, so many from Rwanda, so many from Congo, so many from Somalia, so many. Why? Because the universities had a free hand to run many programs, come up with a different, their own internal banding. If they had parallel students who are paying more and regular students who are paying under the government regulation band. And you know, the minute you allow the sector to control itself, it's called internal control, even in the media, self-regulation. You guys know which client pays what. You know who plays what, based on what you have agreed. Yep. The day the government will allow the universities to take control of their commercialization programs, so that the universities can fund themselves, can collect as much money as possible. Like for example, in Kiambu County, we have one university that has over 500 acres of land idle. In Kiambu County, 500 acres of land idle is a joke. But the same university is complaining they have no sufficient funds to run the institution. There are so many universities that had opened a lot of what we call the satellite campuses, but then they are closing them down. Those satellite campuses used to accommodate students from Burundi, and they would come with a lot of dollars. A lot of students from Rwanda. What happened? All those students are now going to private universities. They are no longer going to the mainstream universities. So the government is actually collapsing our universities in the name of regulation. So we must remove that hand. We must allow the university to come up with what I call 5 years business plan. What is your projections? How are you going to use your housing program? Because there are some universities that have a housing program which is no longer, generating revenues. Before we fund you in parliament, what is your seed capital? What can you be able to raise as an institution? That we must agree to do. Otherwise, university sitting back and waiting for HELB's contribution, and there's nothing else happening, and every time every university has some special income, we all get there and start politicizing the university. For example, what's happening with the University of Nairobi. We no longer have soberness in the universities. Chancellors versus directors versus board, fights all over. The minute the government gets in, chaos starts. And this government is associated with so many chaos. Because there is no good advisory planning before we do programs.